So the other day I was in Madrid and I had the best cheesecake I have ever had in my life. It was so delicious I couldn't help but have three slices all at once for dinner. In my defense, cheesecake has protein, so it's okay. And I think what makes it so delicious is its running core. The outside is just set enough to hold its shape, but once you cut into it, the middle slowly melts into the plate. It's incredibly creamy, almost custard-like, and it balances the richness of the cheese with a slight silky texture. It's so amazing, every bite feels so indulgent. You know how some people claim they have been to heaven and came back and say that everything in this world just looks like garbage in comparison? This is exactly how I feel about this Spanish molten lava cheesecake. After eating it, New York style, Chicago style, Japanese style, or even Basque cheesecake just feel like garbage to me. But then I soon realized there was a serious problem when I tried to find the same kind of cheesecake again. As it turns out, there doesn't seem to be a specific term to describe this kind of cheesecake. Most restaurants and bakeries simply call it tarta de queso, which is a very generic term meaning cheesecake, and it can basically mean anything. I also asked ChatGPT whether this kind of cheesecake has a name, but that quickly turned into another example of ChatGPT seriously hallucinating because it claimed it is called Basque cheesecake. Okay, so that claim has two serious problems. First, while Basque cheesecake is softer than something like New York style cheesecake, and as amazing as it is, it's nowhere near as running as the molten style. And you can clearly see it from the photo that they are completely different. Second, Basque cheesecake does not have a crust, and what you see here? A crust. Some of these molten style cheesecakes do have a crust, and honestly, they taste better with one. In the end, what I have to do was search for cheesecake on Google Maps and manually click through the photo to check whether the center was actually molten and running, which is extremely annoying and time consuming. And then I realized, wait, I'm an SEO analyst. I know how to do keyword research. So after a bit of keyword research, I finally able to find some keyword to describe it that are more likely to find this specific cheesecake. I also have done some researches to understand when this kind of cheesecakes had become famous and popular in Spain. And in the end of the video, I will also recommend some spots in Madrid and Barcelona where you can get it. So let's go. Okay, so after some digging, I found that when Spanish people are actually trying to find this specific cheesecake, the one that with genuinely running molten center, they tend to use very different words than restaurants do. Instead of just tarta de queso, which means cheesecake, the searches that actually work tend to include words like tarta de queso liquida, aka liquid cheesecake, tarta de queso coulant, aka coulant cheesecake, tarta de queso cremosa, aka creamy cheesecake. This one is more ambiguous, but it works sometimes. Okay, so now one practical way to test whether a term accurately describes a specific thing is to look at Google search results. If the term constantly returns the things that you are looking for, it suggests that enough people are using that word in a similar context for Google to establish a stable association between the query and the underlying entity or concept. So, tarta de queso, aka cheesecake, for example, fail this test completely. You can see when we search this term, all kind of cheesecakes show up. So it's more of a generic term. When we search tarta de queso liquida, aka liquid cheesecake, or tarta de queso coulant, aka coulant cheesecake, on the other hand, you will see that almost all results are the specific cheesecake we are looking for, the delicious one. Tarta de queso cremosa, aka creamy cheesecake, on the other hand, is kind of a mix, cause more molten style cheesecake indeed show up, but it also includes some other creamy cheesecake. Another thing to notice is that people seem to have only started to use this term since 2020s. I have done some research, and while I cannot say for sure, this might be some hypothesis. In 2019, an article by El Español, an independent Spanish digital news outlet known for its mix of breaking news and in-depth political economic reporting, covered the first national cheesecake championship, where the cheesecake from Cava won the first place. What is important here is how the cheesecake was described. Judges and writers focused heavily on the interior texture. The winning cheesecake was praised for being extremely soft and delicate. But it was described using comparison like custard or cream, not words like liquidat, aka liquid, or coulant, aka flowing. Around the same time, La Vogue España published an article explaining the secret of Spain's best cheesecake was precisely baking. Again, the inside was described as like sweet cream or custard. So by 2019, the style already existed and the texture was celebrated, but there was still no clear name for it. And then during the COVID lockdown, a broader shift in food behavior took place, as described it in an article published by the El País, which is a leading Spanish daily newspaper known for in-depth reporting and cultural coverage with a strong international perspective, titled Cheesecake That Survived Lockdown. During the spring of 2020, when much of the Spain was confined at home, baking changed from a casual hobby into a way for people to recreate restaurant-level fancy dessert in their own kitchen. Cheesecake in particular became a favorite. It was indulgent, visually striking, and achievable at home. Social platforms, especially Instagram, play a major role in this shift, turning photo of ultra-creamy, soft-set cheesecake into object of desire. The El País article gives one concrete example of this wider trend. A single Instagram photo of a homemade cheesecake with a very soft interior went viral and unexpectedly generated a real demand. That post eventually led to the creation of Munchies, which grew from a lockdown side project into a full business. While Munchies later became commercially successful, this story mainly illustrates a larger point. During confinement, social media, not restaurant, became the main discovery channel for cheesecake. This moment mattered because it shows how cheesecake stopped being just something you order at a restaurant and become something that you discovered visually online. Instagram transformed cheesecake into a scroll-stopping image first, and then food item second. As people bake at home and try to track down the exact cheesecake they have seen online, interest shifted from cheesecake in general to very specific texture and experiences. That's where a practical problem appeared. Searching for tarta de queso, aka cheesecake, returned everything: fully baked cakes, burnt Basque cake, no-bake version, and so on and everything else. To find the molten center cheesecake that they had seen on social media, users began adding the descriptive modifiers such as liquid dot or coolant, liquid or molten. These words weren't formal names. They were functional search tool created to narrow result and recover a specific visual memory. In other words, the naming shift did not come top-down from chef competition or critique. It emerged bottom-up, driven by everyday user navigating search engine after discovering food through social platform during lockdown. But that is just my hypothesis, so if you live in Spain and know something more about this trend, please let me know. So let's be honest, most restaurants in Spain do not call this amazing molten style cheesecake tarta de queso, liquida, or coolant. They just write tarta de queso and hope you know they have the fancy molten variety. And the actual usage in search for these terms is hardly normalized yet. Tarta de queso liquida, aka liquid cheesecake, only have about 320 monthly search. Tarta de queso coulant, aka coulant cheesecake, has only 70. In comparison, tarta de queso Basque, aka Basque cheesecake, has about 6,600 monthly searches. So if you are specifically hunting for that molten center, barely set running core cheesecake, the one people start obsessing over during lockdown, you don't search by name, you search by places. These are 3 places I personally been to, and they all understand the texture, even the language haven't catch up yet. 1. La Dulceria Cafe, España. La Dulceria Cafe in central Madrid is a dessert cafe focused primarily on specialty cheesecake rather than broad range of pastries. Its Google Map reviews show multiple distinct cheesecake slices, including pistachio, lotus biscoff, apple crumble, Basque-style version, alongside whole cheesecake, available for order, indicating that the cheesecake is a main product category rather than a side item. From visual evidence in my footage, the cheesecake served here clearly fall into the running core molten center category. The exterior is set enough to hold its shape, while the interior remains visibly fluid and custard-like when cut. 2. Bastille by Rossi La Loca. Bastille by Rossi La Loca is an immersive ocean-themed restaurant in Madrid, known for its dramatic interior design and bold menu. While much attention goes to its decor and cocktails, its cheesecake has earned recognition on its own, separated from the overall spectacle. In 2024, the head chef Javier Alfaro won the Best Cheesecake in Madrid award, an award organized by Association of Chefs and Pastry Chefs of Madrid and later reported by Condé Nast Traveler, which is a globally recognized luxury travel magazine. Coverage of the win highlight the technique rather than novelty. The cheesecake used cured sheep cheese from Campo Real, combined with carefully chosen cream cheese, plus controlled baking and resting, to achieve a rich, silky, softly set texture. And again, you can see in my video, it's exactly this kind of running core molten style cheesecake that you will want to try. 3. Pastel BCN. Pastel BCN is a pastry shop in Barcelona Gracia neighborhood that positions itself as a cheesecake specialist. Rather than focusing on the single signature cake, its menu is built around multiple cheesecake styles, combining classic option with rotating variety and format for both pickup and delivery. It frequently describes its cheesecake as creamy inside and toasted on the surface, directly naming the soft creamy center that people often struggle to describe when searching online. And again, you can see in my video that they are exactly the kind of running core molten style cheesecake. Okay, that's all. I hope you find this video useful, and if you live in Spain, please let me know if there are any words I can use to search to find this kind of cheesecake. Or if you know anything about the cheesecake culture in Spain, please let me know. See you later!